Welcome to Category Visionaries, the show dedicated to exploring exciting visions for the future from the founders who are on the front lines building it. In each episode, we'll speak with a visionary founder who's building a new category or reimagining an existing one. We'll learn about the problem they solve, how their technology works, and unpack their vision for the future. I'm your host, Brett Stapper, CEO of Frontlines Media. Now let's dive right into today's episode. Hey everyone, and welcome back to Category Visionaries. Today we're speaking with Adrienne Pierce, CEO of New Sun Road, an energy tech company that's raised $6 million in funding. Adrienne, how are you?
I'm great. Thank you. How are you?
I'm doing great. I'm really excited for this conversation. So let's go ahead and jump right in. Talk to us about what you're building.
Yeah. So we are an envirotech company, and we have a platform to accelerate the deployment of renewable energy resources. We have a focus on underserved communities, and we're part of defining that distributed energy future that's allow greater resilience and more renewables.
I know you joined the company roughly 3 years ago. What was the state of the company when you joined?
So the company comes out of the energy access space. The founders are from UC Berkeley. They wanted to be able to make sure that the energy system, which was solar plus batteries, was going to continue to operate and be sustainable. And as a result of that, they developed an early IoT and cloud-based platform for monitoring and control. So that was the technology that was further honed, developed, and commercialized. And I came on board about 4 years ago to help on the commercialization process. And they were well on their way with a proven technology, and it's just continued to grow from there. So we have got about 1,500 systems on the platform right now. And, we continue to expand in different applications and innovations. So it's a really exciting space.
What does deployment look like when you do want to roll these out? What does it take to get one across the line?
Yeah. So what we have been doing is we partner closely with folks who are working on these projects. I sometimes say we're a brain floating around looking for a body. People will recognize perhaps things called energy management systems or microgrid controllers or DER controllers. And we offer all sorts of different aspects of that. And we provide local control as well as cloud-based control. And so deployment is enabling folks to rapidly roll out their projects, but then also providing a platform for continuing operations and maintenance and making sure that that's cost effective and leveraging all of this technology that we have for virtual troubleshooting and bringing the expertise so that we can reduce operating costs.
Now, for those of us not in this space, who are the types of customers that you're selling to? What's like the ICP?
Yeah, no, that's a really good question. And it's incredibly broad. So we are working with what people would recognize as sort of normal kind of solar installers who are adding battery storage. We have projects with PG&E where we're providing fleet management for their remote grids, which are providing wildfire mitigation. We have customers in the telecommunications sector where they're fleet managing remote power systems for telecommunications towers. And then we're also continuing to work in the energy access space, indigenous communities, remote communities in the highlands of Guatemala, in these, unelectrified areas, providing reliable power that we can support, and I can see it from my desktop.
What's a normal sales cycle like for you? I have to imagine it's not a short sales cycle.
It's not typically a short sales cycle. It can be anywhere from 6 months to 18 months, depending on the length of the project and when we get introduced to the project. Because we're at the heart of what the project is doing from a control and performance perspective, there are a lot of things to just make sure that we're aligned on and develop a really strong partnership to deliver what is needed both for the project and for our client customers.
What's the acquisition channels look like, or maybe multiple channels? Like, how are you acquiring customers right now? What's working?
Yeah. So we started with kind of a sector strategy where we're like, we can do electric vehicles and we can provide, electric energy management for them. But what we found was that it's very hard to be experts in all of these different sectors, whether it's EV or building management or even just, delivering power for, say, car dealerships or shopping malls. And so our sort of go-to-market has been much more a partnering model and enabling our clients to be successful and bringing the value for them, whether it is maybe they have a model for energy as a service and they are selling electrons to their clients and they need, data support and operational support. Or maybe it's more of an O&M model where they're providing operations and maintenance for a series of customers. Or maybe they have a pipeline and they just want to be able to do asset management, for all of the projects that they have. And so that has been a much better way because then we make sure that we're focused on what we do best and we fill in the gaps. Most of us don't want to be energy experts. We want to just be able to, turn the light on and know that we're not getting gouged for the cost of power that it's costing us.
This show is brought to you by Frontlines Media, a podcast production studio that helps B2B founders launch, manage, and grow their own podcast. Now, if you're a founder, you may be thinking, I don't have time to host a podcast. I've got a company to build. Well, that's exactly what we built our service to do. You show up and host, and we handle literally everything else. To set up a call to discuss launching your own podcast, visit frontlines.io/podcast. Now, back to today's episode. On the marketing side, what's been the general approach to marketing? How do you think about brand?
So marketing has been, we found that it is a bit of a wonky sector. So we're really kind of meeting folks at a technical level, a lot of discussions at trade shows, talking on panels, doing podcasts, that sort of thing, joining the conversations on LinkedIn, and then just having a really approachable website so that people will be sparked and inspired and reach out to us. We've tried some lead generation and things like that, but there's such a timing factor and it is such a complex area that a lot of things have to align in order for that type of marketing to really sort of pay off.
Yeah, I can imagine it's not something that people are even searching for necessarily, right? If you look at your buyer group, are they on Google searching for a solution?
When they need a solution, they're searching for it. But you're right, in the scope of putting together a project, they might be worried about permitting. They might be worried about their interconnection agreement, what kind of battery they're going to supply. And then like, oh, I need something that's going to actually make all this stuff work. Time for me to go look for an energy management system, and that could be in the course of the, 18 to 24 months that they're doing the project. So we need to make sure that we're present and, there when they're looking for that.
When you think about this entire go-to-market journey so far, what do you think's been the most important go-to-market decision that you've made?
Focusing on our client partners and helping them be successful. That has been hugely important, both in terms of, for small organizations, I think the biggest cost is opportunity cost. So if I'm spending my time, chasing leads and doing lead gen, and that's where my resources are going, then it may be at the behest of something that's more productive. And so being really careful about how you allocate and where you focus is, it's just critical.
When I look back at, the 1,200 interviews we've done so far, everyone's a technology company, everyone's innovating with technology. I know that you're a little different. You're not just innovating with technology. There's also a lot of innovation happening at the organizational level. So talk to us about what it means to be a PBC.
Yeah, we are a public benefit corporation, which means it's part of our articles of incorporation, which is a little bit different than a B Corp, which is a certification. So it means that we are registered as a public benefit corporation for the state of California, and we have an impact imperative to help deploy renewable and make it accessible for underserved communities. From the operations of the company, it doesn't have a huge impact in terms of do we do things hugely differently? But it is a very clear indication both to our partners, the people that we work with, and our employees where, what we care about and how we prioritize things. And it's just created an amazing team environment. And, I often tell people, because we're so aligned around the motivation of what we're doing, I feel like I'm just incredibly blessed with the team that we have and how little drama there really is in delivering some of these projects that can get pretty sticky and hairy sometimes as, you're trying to innovate and figure out how all the pieces fit together.
Have there been any downsides, or for a founder that's listening in thinking, okay, yeah, maybe I'll go down that path? What should they be prepared for in their mind if they do go down that path?
Yeah, I think you have to be authentic with it. I think if you're sort of greenwashing it, it's definitely going to come out pretty quickly. It has to be sort of something that, you feel. It's not something you should just sign up to. We've had some questions from the finance community, but it hasn't impacted us raising money. And I think it has channeled and been a differentiator for what we're doing and how we're doing it.
This show is brought to you by the Global Talent Co., a marketing leader's best friend in these times of budget cuts and efficient growth. We help marketing leaders find, hire, vet, and manage amazing marketing talent for 50 to 70% less than their U.S. and European counterparts. To book a free consultation, visit globaltalent.co.
How do you keep up with all of the changing regulations? I would imagine in the U.S. alone, it's changed, and you're doing this globally. So how do you keep track of all of that?
Well, one thing about regulation is that there is lag. So you can change the regulation and it takes a while for it to trickle down and to have impact. So, when I look at changing regulation, I'm looking at, well, how is that going to impact 2026? What is that going to look like? So there is time to prepare and to work with our partners on strategies to address what is happening. And, the changing regulations, if there's one change, I think it's fine. The problem when it's very difficult is that when things are changing constantly over a period of time, then people are reluctant to sign contracts and figure out financing because they're just waiting for things to sort of stabilize. And that's the thing that ends up being the most difficult.
In terms of your time, where do you spend your time? I'm sure it changes probably week to week, but as much as we can say, what is an average day for you?
Well, we have a pretty small commercialization team, and that was what I was brought in for. So I'd say at least 60% of my time is spent on that. I have a great business development director, and she is working very closely with our clients. And I'm doing a lot more of the prospecting, connecting with the broader community, making sure that we have our face and thought leadership circles and things like that. So there's that component, and then the other 40% is everything from okay, we need to get the lights fixed over here. Can somebody take care of that? To just, different opportunities, working with internships and other partners and people within the ecosystem.
The fun stuff.
Yeah.
You mentioned thought leadership there. Can you unpack the thought leadership playbook a bit, or the thought leadership program?
Yeah. So our thought leadership program, we're innovating. So there is the core of energy management for what I was talking about with microgrids or, sometimes distributed energy resources, which is battery storage and all of the benefits associated with that. But, we're doing work in vehicle to grid. Mm-hmm. So how do you make sure that you have power? Vehicles, when they charge, require a lot of peak power for a short period of time, which of course throws the grid into fits. And what ends up happening is they throttle back the power, which means that as a consumer, when you charge your vehicle, you thought it was going to be a couple of hours, maybe you thought it was going to be 20 minutes and now it's an hour, which is not the best experience. Also, we have a very cool project in Puerto Rico where we're working with Oak Ridge National Lab and the community of Adjuntas in Puerto Rico to network microgrids. So now if you think of a system of microgrids and they're sharing power generation and loads to provide additional resiliency locally, where they can operate off the grid for extended periods of time. That's another area that we've been working on. So those sorts of things are great, and just thought leadership in kind of really showing that these things aren't just ideas, that they can be reduced to practice. And this is how you do. I mean, as you know, we're all drowning in content. We're all drowning in ideas. How do you figure out what is actually tangible and where is it going?
Final question for you. Let's zoom out into the future so we can go 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, however long you want. What's the big picture vision here?
So for New Sun Road, one of two things will most likely be happening. Either we will be acquired and be part of a larger initiative. Our goal really is to provide our technology so that it can scale renewable energy resources and really bring that clean and local energy economy. And if that doesn't happen, this year we're on a path to be break even. And so we have the ability to define our own destiny and continue to work with our partners, to sort of grow this space and be successful.
Amazing. I love the vision. I really love this conversation. And now I know what a public benefit corp is. So appreciate you coming on and educating me and taking the time to talk about everything that you're doing.
Great. Thank you. Thank you so much for the time. I really appreciate it.
Of course. Keep in touch.
This episode of Category Visionaries is brought to you by Frontlines Media, Silicon Valley's leading podcast production studio. If you're a B2B founder looking for help launching and growing your own podcast, visit frontlines.io/podcast. And for the latest episode, search for Category Visionaries on your podcast platform of choice. Thanks for listening, and we'll catch you on the next episode.